drop a few seeds of knowledge with your girl drayalove. Welcome to my mind, to my reality. So today we're going to be talking about our inner child. I know we all have some pretty damaged inner children. We've all been through the ringer in some way or another. And we have this inner child that's most likely being neglected with all of us. I know I speak for myself. Mine has been neglected for very long. I'm now working with her and dealing with her. But as I work with my inner child, I'm also finding myself working with a lot of people and helping them work with their inner child. Because as we don't deal with the inner child that's we've experienced and what our reality was and what that reality brought us into currently, into our adulthood, if that's where we're at. But if we're not able to take that inner child that's been hurt, had things go on, had damage done in whatever way they had damage done, if we're not able to parent them or bring them back to health, what's going to happen with them? So who's going to do that? I mean, so what I've found, and this has been really good advice, is that right now, who you are right now, okay, so right now you're working on becoming the best version of yourself. I would hope so. That's what I'm doing. So if you're not, it's a good game to be on. It's a good return on investment. So good bang for your buck. So on that path to self-knowledge, so as I walk that, I find that I've been through my childhood in my life with myself. I've been through any damage or any life experiences that I feel I need mending from. And again, just apply this to your life. You now were with your child who grew up through all your stuff the entire time. So you know what that child needs. You know what that child was lacking, and you know what that child has insecurities about. So right now, the adult who you've become, should you be working towards health, emotional, energetic, physical, all of it under one roof, should you be reaching towards that goal right now, that adult that you should be walking with should be pretty healthy or should be working towards it. So that adult knows better, at least for most people. Not always. The adults don't always like to admit that they're wrong because they're adults and they want to play that card. But most of the time, the adults know better. So think about you as now the adult who knows better. So that child who was coming up and who was confused and maybe had situations and they didn't know what to do, or they didn't know where to get advice from, or they had to draw from spirit or from strangers, whatever. That child who needed help, why don't you go back and visit them now? Yeah, go back and visit them and see what they needed. See what they needed to hear. Yeah, go revisit them. We often leave them alone, and then we have these little behaviors that show that our inner child is not taken care of and not dealt with and not loved back to life and not emotionally well. When we're not emotionally well, it shows in every area of our life. And so that's that inner child that hasn't not had the opportunity, but has not gotten healed. So my recommendation to everybody, because I think most of us have an inner child that's got some issues. We all have issues. So take who you are now, go back and find the 2-year-old you or the whatever year old you, hold your hand, talk to them, say what it is you know that they need to say, look in their eyes, hold their hands, envision what you see, feel it in your heart, offer them love, offer them healing, offer them energetic embraces. You can go back and make these healing patterns happen. And should you do this in your mind with visualizations, and should you embody this with your body with actual feelings and emotions and beliefs that you can do this, you can cellularly change what happens to you. It's called manifestation and healing and resetting. It's energetics. So if you go back and deal with this little person and you help heal them, you can actually heal this little person inside of you, and you can help set them free and let them understand that it's okay to come out and be safe and be who they are in the world today. There's nothing wrong with that. So I would hope that this would offer you a different opinion on the inner child that you have. This dude had a published book, he had companies, but right now he's homeless. So I did a reading for him, and he cried, and he said he was going to write about it in his next book because it was eye-opening. But some of the things that we ended up talking about were really his inner child, because he had several children, many children, and I was talking to him about going back and revisiting that child, and I said, what about that little boy? Like, what about him? And he looked at me and I said, yeah, you know him, you've been with him, you are him. You rode with him this whole time, like, you know what he's been through. So I want you to ride with him again. But this time I want you to tell him it's going to be okay. I want you to educate him with all the stuff that you know. So this guy cried. We talked, and he's like, that's some deep shit. He's like, I've always thought about all these different capacities and healing, and he's pretty woke. But he said, I've never thought about my inner child and addressing it like that. And it just really offered him a new perspective. So I'm hoping that this may open up something to you, maybe even a portal into your younger you, so you can get some resolution with maybe the things that have been rocking around in your heart and in your emotions, because none of us deserve to hold on to old shit. It's bad for your energy, it's bad for your life, it's bad for your vibe, it's bad for manifestation. It's just going to make you repeat the same old patterns if you don't deal with life. So get you some energetic medicine, get you some healing, get you some perspective, get your little inner child some love, nurse that little baby back to health, allow it to come back into being and see the light and not be afraid of who it came here to be, and just let that baby out and let him or her, let them heal. But hold their hand and walk them through, and be patient and be very loving in the process. So nobody can do this for you, but the good news is you can do this for yourself. So you can't look to anybody else for healing. You are the only person that can heal yourself. So is anybody looking for sorrow or healing from anybody else? That shit can't happen. That shit can't happen. Healing, it just happens with you. And I recommend starting with that inner child, because you deal with that little inner child, and then a lot of the symptoms of the stuff of your life, they're going to stop coming out in illness and experience and things that you don't really like the energetic resonancy of. But you start dealing with that baby, that inner child, the things that have really been repressed, that you've really been feeling and you haven't dealt with. You start letting that child out. I promise you, those illnesses, those ailments, those diseases, those problems that were coming up, those patterns that were repeating, I promise you, they will start to change, and your life will start to change should you address that inner child and your emotional state and your energetic state. So you go ahead on and get you some of yourself, get you some healing, get you some love, get you some patience, and get you some real parenting one-on-one.